Breaking tonight, parole denied for convicted killer Erik Menendez. And tonight, the future for his brother Lyle remains uncertain as he waits to face the same parole board tomorrow.
There are no questions off the table. Anything is fair game.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to West Coast Wrap. I'm Alex Savage. Just a short time ago, the parole board in California decided to deny parole to Erik Menendez. He and his brother Lyle admit that they killed their parents inside the family's Beverly Hills home decades ago. They say they acted in self-defense after years of abuse. As Fox 11's Laura Diaz reports tonight, the brothers have been fighting for their release for many years.
It's certainly a factor the parole board and ultimately the governor will consider as to what the victim family members have to say. It's sort of an interesting situation where the family of the victims, and the victims are Jose and Kitty Menendez, are also the family of the murderers, Erik and Lyle Menendez.
That's current LA County DA Nathan Hochman noting how presumably supporters of Erik Menendez spoke out on his behalf. Erik's supporters and supporters of the victims are presumably one and the same. It's almost 36 years to the day that Lyle and Erik Menendez brutally murdered their parents, Kitty and Jose Menendez, in their Beverly Hills mansion. They claimed self-defense. Last year, they were resentenced to 50 years to life, thereby making them eligible for parole. Thursday was Erik's turn. Loyola law professor Christopher Hawthorne gives us an idea of how the hearing may have gone.
The star of the show, you might say, is the client. Almost all the talking on on our side, as I put it, is the client talking about himself. The commissioners talk to the client directly, and there are no questions off the table. Anything is fair game. It's not like a trial. There are no objections. There's no, I want to exclude that evidence. There are very few things the Board of Parole Hearings cannot ask Erik or Lyle Menendez.
And that was Fox 11's Laura Diaz reporting. This case was thrown back into the spotlight after the release of a Netflix docuseries and documentary following the brothers' lives. I had a chance earlier to speak with KTVU legal analyst Michael Cardoso to get some more perspective on what the parole board is looking for in these hearings.
What they will look to is how did they do in prison while they were in prison? Have they rehabilitated themselves? Are they remorseful for what they did? And will they be a danger to society if this commission lets them out? They have to answer all of those questions. Then the three of them, you have one administrative judge and then two appointed commissioners who will make their minds up about whether to recommend, and I underscore the word recommend, parole or not.
Yeah, there's still a lot of steps to go here.
Exactly.
In terms of the evidence that these commissioners are weighing, they're obviously hearing from Erik Menendez himself and other witnesses. They also have a statement that was put in by LA County District Attorney Nathan Hochman, who is opposing the release of the Menendez brothers on parole, essentially saying he doesn't think they've been remorseful. Their stories have shifted over the years, and he says their claims of self-defense, there's no evidence for them. How much weight is a statement like that from the DA going to hold?
Well, it's going to have some weight, certainly, but they'll understand he's a politician. He ran on Law and Order, so his statement of they're not remorseful, the board will look to, well, wait a minute, what did they say? What are they saying at the hearing, the Menendez brothers? And let's look back and see what they've said before. Have their stories really changed? But one thing the DA is saying too is, I don't believe they were molested. I think he's going to drive off a cliff on that one, because I don't think there's any question they were molested by their father. So what effect will the DA's statement have? Not much, I think.
All right, so what is your sense about which way the Parole Board Commission may lean here? Do you think they will grant parole here for Erik Menendez? And if they do, what's the next step in the process?
Well, if they do, and if I had to bet on this, I would bet they are going to recommend parole. Now remember, this board just recommends, because the final say is with the governor, with Gavin Newsom, so they recommend. It's my feeling they will recommend parole. Once they do that, then it goes to their counsel, the counsel for the commission, Parole Board Commission, and he or she has 120 days to review all the facts for factual truthfulness and also legal. Are there any legal issues? Once that attorney puts in his or her imprimatur on it, then it goes to the governor's desk, and the governor has 30 days to either say, I agree with it, parole them, or I deny it, or let's modify it, or I'll send it back and I want other questions asked. So he has the last say. He will make the decision.
And our coverage on this case continues online. Just head over to westcoastwrap.com. Our coverage there includes a detailed timeline of this decades-old murder case. 6 people are dead tonight after an accident at a Colorado dairy farm. The Weld County Sheriff's Office says deputies responded to this property near Keensburg on Wednesday for what authorities describe as a confined space rescue. This dairy is about 35 miles northeast of Denver. Tax records show it's owned by Prospect Valley Dairy LLC, with the owner's address listed in Bakersfield, California. Authorities say they did not find anything criminal in the investigation so far, but they have not clarified exactly what led to the deaths. The U.S. Department of Labor is investigating what happened here. In Southern California, a combination of extreme heat and dry brush has first responders on high alert. This is a live look at Los Angeles tonight, where critical fire weather is expected throughout this Saturday. The state has extra firefighting resources pre-positioned across the region. Some of those crews were quick to jump on a brush fire that started this afternoon in the Sepulveda Basin. They were able to quickly knock down that fire. There's no word on any injuries or homes being damaged here. Fire's not the only concern as temperatures climb. Health officials are warning people across Southern California, the Las Vegas area, and many parts of Arizona about the dangers of being exposed to extreme heat for extended periods of time. People in the LA area are just beginning their stretch of prolonged heat.
Maybe it's 100 something. Maybe it's 100 something, maybe 102, 3. But it's really hot. Oh, nice. The water.
It's a little humid, but it's okay. Yeah, it's not that bad. It's better than sitting home inside. You got to run your AC and all that. It's a dry heat, but you know the wind blowing makes it all right. Can't complain. Better than sitting in the house.
He's taking it in stride, that's for sure. People in the Phoenix area being warned to expect extreme heat through this Sunday. Here's a live look at the downtown Phoenix area tonight. Looking out across the valley, temperatures here soared well above 110 degrees this afternoon, and strong winds are another problem as well. State Transportation Department cameras picked up these images showing how strong winds kicked up dust in the Phoenix area late last night. Officials are urging drivers to be extra cautious if they notice that visibility is reduced while they're out on the roads. For more, let's bring in KTVU's chief meteorologist, Mark DeMaio, who is tracking the hot and windy conditions across many parts of the West. Hey, Mark.
Hi there, Alex. Yeah, that heat expanding across a good portion of the West. Take a look at some of the highs from this afternoon. Phoenix up to 114 degrees, Palm Springs 116. That Los Angeles site, this is actually at LAX, a bit cooler, but downtown LA a bit warmer. We'll show you that in a second. San Francisco in the upper 70s, Redding 107. That warmth extending up to the north as well. So a warm to very hot pattern setting up. This was Los Angeles earlier today or nearby Santa Monica. Los Angeles, though, downtown in the mid-90s. So as you can see, very close to a record. That would have been very impressive. 96 degrees, a record set back on this day in 1891. The average high 84, so well up above the average and very close to a new record for today in the Los Angeles area. All these areas on this map right now, we are showing you extreme heat warnings in red, heat advisories in yellow, kind of blanketing a good portion from Arizona into Nevada, out toward California, and even up to the north as well. So take a look at the overall trend, though, the overall headline here, 95 to 105 degrees, and that's kind of the case for Los Angeles. A prolonged event started today that continues into Friday and into a Saturday. Showing you the satellite, actually the fire danger first, and this is all linked up with fire danger where you have some coverage on the map. That's where you have an increase in the fire danger. So this shows up primarily in response to maybe some stronger winds and also mainly the heat driving this. That shows up on this map tomorrow afternoon by 3 and by 4 o'clock. The red flag warning continues for portions of Southern California until 9 p.m. on Saturday. So still hot and still dry, and also those breezy conditions could pick up, especially over the higher peaks. Here's a look at the satellite and the radar. You can see some cloud cover and some rain showers moving into portions of Arizona. So right now, just approaching the Phoenix area, some coverage with the showers showing up on the radar this evening. This was Seattle today. The warmth is extending up in the Pacific Northwest, 78 degrees this afternoon. San Francisco, lots of sunshine, temperatures in the upper 70s at 77. And of course, we talked about the Phoenix area. This camera picking up on all those high clouds showing up in the picture, that monsoonal flow, and a temperature of 114 degrees. Right now, it is 107 in Las Vegas, Reno in the mid-90s, Portland 84 degrees. And here's the overall weather story. It's warm up in Seattle, warm to hot for the Bay Area. Dangerous heat, we've been talking about this kind of expanding across parts of the West. And some more cities coming up for you with Olympia 92, San Jose in the Bay Area in the 80s, and Scottsdale 110 degrees. So here's the forecast over the next 3 days. A warm pattern for Seattle. San Francisco will cool off gradually into the weekend. Thunderstorms developing out toward the Denver area tomorrow, and then Los Angeles. The heat continues, and of course out toward the Phoenix area. So the heat continues to be a big part of our story over the next couple days.
All right, we'll keep tracking it. Mark,
yeah.
Thank you. Up next tonight here on West Coast Wrap, California voters will weigh in on a new congressional map that could affect the balance of power in Congress. Up next tonight, Governor Gavin Newsom signs off on a plan for a special election later on this year. Also coming up tonight, a Washington woman makes a surprising and potentially dangerous discovery in her own backyard.
It was heavy. It felt heavier than it should have, you know. I think it was 12 pounds. It was pretty terrifying.
This November, California voters will decide whether to approve a redrawn congressional map that's designed to send more Democrats to Congress. Today, Governor Gavin Newsom signed legislation for that special election later this year. As Fox's Kennedy Hayes reports tonight, the new map in California is meant to counter a measure approved by lawmakers in Texas to gain Republican seats in Congress.
The votes are in. California Democrats have officially approved their redistricting package, and this is a major move coming just a day after Republicans in Texas advanced their own map. Now, Democrats here in California worked quickly to push this through, and Governor Gavin Newsom just sealed the deal.
We'll be the first state in U.S. history to, in the most democratic way, submit to the people of our state the ability to determine their own maps. That simply has not been done.
Governor Gavin Newsom called the move a direct response to redistricting efforts led by former President Trump and Republicans in Texas, where a new map could give the GOP 5 additional House seats. Newsom says California is, quote, fighting back, and the map here could help Democrats pick up as many as 5 seats of their own. Now, inside the chamber earlier today, lawmakers debated for hours. The package includes 3 bills, one to fund the special session, one to temporarily bypass the state's independent redistricting commission, and one to approve the new map. Republicans accuse Democrats of a partisan power grab, warning this sets a dangerous precedent and undercuts voters who approved an independent mapping system over a decade ago. They also raised concerns that the maps were drawn behind closed doors without public input.
We have lost all credibility. Let's not forget, this is not free. We are wasting money and resources on an election that is unnecessary and unwanted.
Every time we go to the ballot box, we get to choose if we are going to fight for democracy. And this November, Californians and Democrats in California are going to fight for democracy.
There is no guarantee that Democrats will win the seats. It'll all be up to the voters here in California when a special election happens this fall that's expected to cost hundreds of millions of dollars. In Sacramento, California, Kennedy Hayes, Fox News.
And today, a Texas State Senate committee approved the new congressional maps in that state that were passed by the House last night. Those maps are designed to add 5 Republican-leaning seats in the U.S. House to help the GOP hold on to their thin margin after next year's midterms. Texas Democrats, though, argue the changes amount to racial gerrymandering. They're planning to challenge the new district lines in court. Tonight, TMZ is reporting Las Vegas police have arrested the father of NBA star Jaylen Brown, who plays for the Boston Celtics. Quentin Brown is facing an attempted murder charge after investigators say he stabbed another man during a parking lot dispute yesterday. Witnesses told police the suspect stabbed the victim several times after apparently bumping the suspect's car door. The victim's girlfriend says he was stabbed in the back and abdomen and rushed to the hospital in critical condition. Brown's attorney says his client was not the aggressor.
I do not believe what the reports said in the newspaper or on the news, but I have talked to my client and I do not believe that he was the cause of this. I believe he was the victim in this case.
Quentin Brown's attorney says he expects he'll be released on $300,000 bail, and he's due to appear in court next week. Less than 1 month into his sentence, the man who admits he killed 4 college students in Idaho wants to be moved to another housing unit inside the state's maximum security prison. Brian Kohberger has filed a formal request to be transferred to a quieter prison wing, saying he's facing regular threats from other inmates. State prison officials have not commented on whether they will grant his request. When Kohberger first complained about the treatment he was getting in prison earlier this month, prison officials said, quote, Brian Kohberger is housed alone in a cell, and IDOC staff security maintain a safe and orderly environment for all individuals in our custody. A rare find in a Washington backyard prompted the bomb squad and the military to respond. Fox 12's Michaela Armstrong shows us what one woman found while she was gardening.
I reached over here, and this is where the Cannonball was.
Stephanie Joy says yard work almost became deadly when she found a cannonball in her backyard.
It was heavy. It felt heavier than it should have, you know. I think it was 12 pounds. It was pretty terrifying.
She called police, alerted her neighbors, and as she waited for help, she says she was terrified about what could happen if she made the wrong move.
I tell you, it was like maybe 6 or 7 seconds of not processing what I was holding. You know, like, this can't really be a cannonball. I didn't get really afraid until I was actually holding it, and I realized what it was. I was kind of frozen for a bit because I didn't want to jostle it. You know, I didn't want to move it.
A bomb squad and the military arrived at her home and were able to recover and then detonate the cannonball. She says she is still in shock.
It's still unbelievable.
These cannonballs are the same shape and size as the one Mitchell found at her home. They can be found here at the Vancouver barracks and show the deep military history here in Vancouver.
This was first and foremost an Army community for over 100 years.
Military historian Jeff Davis says this discovery was a close call. He says the cannonball may have been from the Civil War or before the Civil War, used in a cannon like at the Vancouver barracks. And he says the cannonball Mitchell found likely had gunpowder inside of it.
In 100+ years, there probably was moisture. Moisture probably did get in there. If it was black powder, then it was probably inert because it was wet. I would not trust my life to that.
He says with gunpowder inside, the cannonball could have been just as dangerous now as in the past.
Probably was just gunpowder in there, but if it's sealed, it might have still been highly explosive. And if it had gone off, then the cannonball would have exploded and all the shot and everything inside of it would have also gone out. And people would have been just as dead now as they would have been in the Civil War.
Mitchell says she couldn't be happier knowing the worst didn't happen.
I feel really fortunate that nothing ever happened to my family or my pets or my neighbor.
In Vancouver, Michaela Armstrong, Fox 12 Oregon.
This is a personal gift from the President of the Russian Federation to you.
Wow. It's brand new.
A pricey gift from Russian President Vladimir Putin. Up next tonight, why the world leader decided to single out a man from Alaska for that gesture. One man from Alaska appears to have made a lasting impression on the Russian government after President Vladimir Putin's meeting with President Trump in that state last week. President Putin's delegation gifted Mark Warren a brand new Ural Gear Up motorcycle with a sidecar. Before President Putin's meeting with President Trump, Warren was using an older motorcycle made by the same Russian brand to run errands in Alaska. A Russian TV crew asked him for an interview. Warren spoke about how difficult it was to get parts for the bike, and that interview went viral in Russia.
I like my other machine as well, but this obviously is a lot better. It's newer, it's more precise, it's better handling, it's a nicer machine, you know.
Warren said all the Russians asked in return was to take his picture and interview him. The motorcycle has a value of about $22,000. Finally, tonight, an Arizona man rescued from a rushing river reunites with the first responders who saved his life. Fox 10's Kenzie Beach captured the heartwarming moments and talked to the man who now has a second chance at life.
An emotional reunion for swiftwater rescue crews and the man they were able to save in the midst of a training. Bill Davis hearing for the first time what happened on the water that day.
In this situation, right, a lot better. He ran into my back, and I was the one that rode with you into the hospital.
It's the first time Bill Davis and his wife Glenna have been reunited with the crew that saved his life in July.
This lady comes she's yelling from the shore, there's a guy up there with no vitals, and I just knew it was him.
The couple had been floating down the Salt River in their tubes together when they got separated. Miles down the river, Bill Davis was overpowered by the current.
I just ran out of strength, and it was the weirdest thing that my body had no strength to do anything.
Bill's floating body ran right into these men, turning their training exercise into a real-life rescue.
We reached more so, rolled him over thinking he just needed help up. Once we rolled him over, he was as blue as our shirts.
Somebody grabbing me from the back. That's the last thing I remember.
Crews were able to fill these gaps for Bill, and he now knows how severe his case was. And he's thankful for each day, his wife and his family.
Not being around anymore, you know, and then it would be leaving.
Leaving me behind.
Because I can't imagine what would have been if it was reversed.
Talk about seconds mattering. Them pulling him out of the water and getting on chest as quickly as they did, I think all that stuff adds up, and the results are right over here. You know, daughters have their dad. A wife has her husband.
Bill Davis sharing with these crews. He does have a sore chest from all the CPR, but he's going to be okay and able to thank these crews firsthand for saving his life. In Mesa, Kenzie Beach, Fox 10 News.
Yeah, great job by those firefighters. All right, that does it for West Coast Wrap tonight. We appreciate you watching. As always, and a quick reminder before we head out, you can always stay up to date on all the stories we're covering online at our website. It's westcoastwrap.com, and don't forget to stream all of our shows on your smart TV. All you need to do is download the free Fox Local app. We'll leave you with this beautiful shot of the San Francisco Bay Area. Have a great night.